Thank you for joining us this Saturday evening. I'm Niranjan. We've had some breaking news come in a little after 7 p.m. that the fourth case of Omicron variant has been detected in India. A lot of viewers have been writing into us, asking us questions about the do's and don'ts. Many just want answers to some of the basic questions. In the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll try and get you the answers to some of those questions. Here are the headlines this evening. India records 2 cases of Omicron variant, taking the total number of cases to 4 now. Both passengers from Gujarat and Maharashtra had travelled back from southern African nations. Parambir Singh charge sheeted for extortion 2 days after he was suspended. Maharashtra government moves Supreme Court, says Parambir is anything but a whistleblower.
जो सरकार में रहे उनकी नीति और रणनीति में दूर दूर तक ये चिंतन कहीं नहीं था.
In battleground Uttarakhand, Prime Minister Modi targeting the Congress, says his party undoing scams of the past. A furious Sri Lankan government has pulled up Pakistan after its citizen was lynched, says extremist mobs are on the loose. And getting in details of the latest 2 cases of Omicron variant being detected in India. This afternoon, we had details of a passenger who had travelled from Zimbabwe testing positive for the variant of COVID-19. And we're getting in some news now that another passenger who had travelled from South Africa has tested positive after landing in Mumbai. Here are the details.
India reported its 4th case of the Omicron variant in Mumbai just hours after the 3rd case was reported from Jamnagar. On December 2, first 2 cases of Omicron were detected in Karnataka's Bengaluru. While one of the 2 cases from Bengaluru did not have travel history, the second case had just returned from South Africa, the region where Omicron variant originated from. The 72-year-old man diagnosed with the variant in Jamnagar had returned from Zimbabwe, while the 33-year-old male detected in Mumbai had returned from South Africa. A micro-containment zone has been created at the location where the Omicron-infected man resides.
ओमिक्रॉन वेरिएंट में पॉजिटिव मिला है, उसके हिसाब से उसको आइसोलेट किया गया है. उसके ऊपर हम नज़र रख रहे हैं. जहां वो रहते थे वहां पर जो है हमने माइक्रो कंटेनमेंट जोन बनाया है. हम लोग उस एरिया को घेर कर उसमें लोगों को उनकी टेस्टिंग, उनकी ट्रेसिंग और ज़रूर पड़ेगी तो ट्रीटमेंट, ये सब किया जाएगा.
The other 2 cases in India are of a 46-year-old fully vaccinated doctor from Bengaluru and a 66-year-old South African national who came to India with a negative COVID-19 report. The country has stepped up testing and surveillance of all incoming international passengers. Meanwhile, the centre has also written to 4 states and union territories to take necessary steps to control the spread of COVID and reduce the fatality rate.
Now they are going to carry out the contact tracing as well to find out who else was this passenger in touch with. They will also try to get in touch with the other passengers who were on board of the plane when they deplaned in Jamnagar. The other 9 passengers who had come from Zimbabwe have fortunately tested negative for COVID-19, but further tracing and testing will be aggressively carried out by the government of Gujarat in the entire state as well. With video journalist Bipin Mori, I'm Priyanka Sharma for Republic.
Joining us on the broadcast this evening, Dr. Rahil Chaudhary, who's the MD of I7 Hospital, live from Delhi this evening. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. Dr. Manjeri Tripathi, who's a professor of neurology at AIIMS in Delhi. Dr. Ashish Khattar, senior consultant internal medicine at the Venkateshwar Hospital in Delhi. And on the broadcast, Dr. Behram Pardiwala, who's the director of internal medicine at the Wockhardt Hospital in Mumbai. So let me start with you, Dr. Pardiwala. Got in breaking news this evening of the fourth case. Many more people who tested positive, their samples have been sent for genome sequencing. Now, the whole point of this broadcast is to answer some of the questions that our viewers may have, and they have a lot of them. First of all, should people take more measures? What, in your view, needs to be done in this situation? Dr. Behram.
Well, obviously, you need to take more measures. You need to up your protection. You should make sure that you have taken both your vaccination shots, and you should have appropriate behavior. You cannot, you see half the people coming out from the airport, half of them don't have their masks on. That is absolutely not done. You need to keep your masks on, you need to keep safe distancing, and at the same time report if any symptoms occur. You cannot let your guard down.
Yeah. Okay. Let me put the next question to Dr. Manjeri Tripathi. Dr. Manjeri, now many states are suddenly waking up. Now you've had 2 cases today. Now the common link here, of course, is travel. In fact, one of them didn't have any travel history. But 3 of the patients who've tested positive for Omicron in India have traveled from southern African nations. So it is a serious concern. Now, many people, of course, airports are ramping up measures. Now, do you think states need to do more, authorities need to do more? What is the medical perspective on what needs to be done now?
See, this, fight against COVID is not just a state perspective or a government perspective. There's a failure of people. We are a huge country. You just go outside Delhi, or even in Delhi, go to localities and people are just not doing the basic first step, which is their own responsibility. You cannot go on, the government cannot go on policing everybody. It's not feasible. So people are not wearing masks, people are having closed door events, people are having parties, weddings with more than 50 guests, 200, 600 guests. There's absolutely no way that this disease, which, had a very horrific second wave, has taught anything to us. It's not just in terms of, knowing the fact scientifically that viruses will change. This particular variant, 1.1529, has 50 mutations and 30 in the spike protein. So the virus is more clever than us. It's changing, and we are not changing. We haven't learned to have events in open air or stick on to the virtual events or use masks properly. Masks are either below the nose or below the mouth. And even people who are coming to hospitals like ours, when they want to tell us a history, they bring down the mask as if to say, the doctor cannot hear you with the mask being on the nose. So really, I think it's not just, your question should be, what is it that we should be doing at an individual level? The government will do, the state will do. They will tell us that you have to quarantine or you have to, isolate, and you have to have a micro containment or a macro containment. That's their job. But each of us as a citizen must look at ourselves and first see what we are doing, which is failing miserably, believe me.
Yeah. Dr. Rahil Chaudhary, I'll go across to Dr. Ashish Khattar after that. Dr. Rahil Chaudhary, now, what makes this variant so dangerous and all the more infectious?
You see, what we are seeing here is many folds compared to the Delta variant that we have had before. So the aggressiveness by which this variant spreads has become a big concern for us. Plus, we don't have the preliminary reports as yet We don't know how severe the infection is going to be. Are we looking at a third wave and another catastrophe like that? So we have to be extra careful. And right now, the vaccinations that we have got done of a population is mainly targeted towards the Delta variant. And of course, this vaccination would not provide you cover for Omicron. They are saying that it would give you a mild cover for that, but it would not be a blanket cover for that. So that is again a concern for us, that now that we are again at a risk and vaccination cover would not be there, we are expecting a new wave anytime if we don't take immediate stringent actions. And it is a virus, and we know about it, that it is going to spread through air. So ultimately the precautions is going to be the same. Again, we have to wear masks, like Dr. Manjari has very clearly stated, that large gatherings need to be avoided. International travel needs to be carefully monitored. If somebody is coming in from a hotspot area, proper testing. You see, you can't put a ban on international travel just like that, because again, the whole population suffers. But then stringent laws so that the spread of the virus is controlled as much as possible. And we are prepared. We are prepared for the wave. That means increasing hospital capacities, better awareness, better infrastructure. That is what we should be looking at this time, that in case we have a wave, our government and the medical system is very well prepared in advance, so that we again don't have a sorry face end of the wave, that we could have been better prepared had we thought about it earlier. So it is a virulent virus, and it is going to be here. It has already come, and it is going to be another catastrophe unless until we don't take very, very stringent measures to control it in the beginning.
Yeah. Now, of course, there is this entire debate that's broken out, and we're also taking your calls live on the debate. You can ask your questions to the experts who are on the show this evening. So let me put my question to Dr. Ashish Khattar of the Venkateshwar Hospital in Delhi. Dr. Khattar, we spoke to one of the experts, in fact, the doctor who first detected this variant or spotted this variant, right? Her name is Dr. Kodzi, and she was live on Republic a few days back, and we had the opportunity to speak to her. Just to give you a few details of what she said, and we'll put that up on screen as well. Now, this was her observation. Now, she said the symptoms that she was seeing in a clinic didn't make any sense. Young people of different backgrounds, different ethnicities were affected. None of them suffered from a loss of taste or smell, which is the case sometimes in the previous variants. And none of them, and she said in one case, there was a 6-year-old child with a very high pulse rate spotted with COVID-19. Variant, of course, she wasn't sure. She said it was unusual to have such a high pulse rate. Now, she said symptoms were vastly different, but also very mild. Almost 24 patients tested positive in a few days in one clinic, right? Her observation also was that she was seeing that older people with comorbidities being hit are harder. So what it tells you, it's a variant that is not very different from the other variants, but can also be very lethal, especially for those with comorbidities. What's your reading into this, Dr. Khattar?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Now, thing is this, that we have already gone through a pandemic, and we have seen wave 1, wave 2, and as you said that the doctor there outside internationally has witnessed such people with such patients with showing different symptoms which are actually not correlating with the things altogether. Now, please do understand that it's a viral infection. The viral infection can have multiple symptoms, multiple presentations. People may come with respiratory illness, that may be an upper respiratory, that may be a lower respiratory, that may be just fever, headache, malaise, body ache, and leg pains. So the symptoms may be totally different. It may vary from person to person. It may vary from children. It may vary in older ages. It may vary with people with pre-morbid illness. Also, it may vary with people, those who are already vaccinated. So we have already seen that this is a variant of concern with almost 52 mutations, with already lot of spike changes. Then also we know that the spreadability, the vulnerability with this variant is much more. We also have come to know that the R0 ratio with this variant is much more than what was seen with the Delta variant. So it's almost the R0 ratio is 1:37. So that means the spread is too huge among the other, compared to the previous variants. Now, as far as the heart rate is concerned and malaise and fatigue, these symptoms may vary. This is the primary facie information what we have already received, that the symptoms with this variant is not of much concern. But please do understand that once a virus spreads in masses, the mutations keeps happening. Please also remember that once the Delta variant had spread, we never thought that so much mortality that Delta variant is going to cause. So in this case also, moment it starts spreading, we do understand that the symptoms are low, they are not very much intensified, the mortality and morbidity is not much, but also do understand that as the infection will prevail and it will keep spreading, the symptoms may change and the vulnerability and the exposures and the patient suffering depends from person to person. They depend from people suffering from pre-morbid illness to people with the older age. Also do understand that we haven't vaccinated children yet. Children are yet to be vaccinated, so they are very much actually predisposed to this variant, which is actually a matter of concern when we are already discussing that this variant spreads faster. So gradually, if you see, if it spreads faster, so people, those who are already not vaccinated, to whatever reason it may be, they may be allergic or out of fear or whatever pre-morbidities or neurological causes, and our children. So they are highly predisposed to this viral attack. And as far as symptoms are concerned, it is good that the symptoms which have been found by now, they are of low intensity and they are not much harmful. Whatever studies have turned in from South Africa also, we haven't seen much of hospitalization. People have taken care at home only. So if you see overall, till now, what we have an answer from all the studies all around the countries is that the spread of this virus is much more. The spreadability from one person to another is faster and it is at a higher rate, whereas the morbidity, that is the harm that the virus is causing, is on a lower side. So that is only a good news till now. But overall, if you see, the vulnerability is much more, and definitely with the further mutations, it can cause a lot of harm. So as all our fellow colleagues have already discussed, that we are not using masks properly, we are not maintaining social distancing, we are using social gatherings for functions and everything. So they are actually should be avoided, and we should take our due precautions to help in that.
Okay, our first viewer calling us into our newsrooms, Ramarao, Mr. Ramarao calling us in from Bengaluru. Mr. Rao, if you can just put your television set on mute and ask your question, one of the experts can take your question. Go ahead.
Yeah. My question is, in spite of we knowing Omicron is not that dangerous like any other earlier versions, but still what I feel, why we are allowing people to come to India, first of all, anywhere from the at-risk countries? That is the only question I have. We know pretty well that this is creating big havoc if we start allowing people. Already in India, there are more than 7-8 cases. I am just watching this TV. Then why not we make at-risk countries completely, let's stop them and we will not allow the flights to get into India.
Okay, let me put that question to Dr. Pardiwala. I see him smiling there. Is that something that you think the government must consider, Mr. Pardiwala? You know, because you see, the 4 cases, 3 of them are from southern African countries. They have travel history there. What's your take on that?
It's like this. We as medical experts can only recommend.
Yeah.
It's for the government to take steps, whether they want to restrict entry, whether they want to prevent people from coming in. What we know about this virus so far is very limited. It's early days yet. You must understand that. We know that it spreads very virulently. However, we also know that it causes very few symptoms and very mild symptoms. Somehow, it seems to affect children more. About the efficacy with the vaccine, nothing is known. Each and every vaccine manufacturer is saying, perhaps my vaccine covers it. Moderna was the only one who said that it doesn't appear that their vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, covers it. So from that point of view, you need to get a little worried. But otherwise, as far as restriction of people coming in, that is for the government to decide. We can only advise. It's for the government to decide which planes you want to allow in and how strict you want to be.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to our next viewer calling us in. Just getting in the name. That's Vivek Shah from Haldwani. Vivek, are you there? Vivek from Haldwani. Vivek,
Yeah.
good evening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm there.
Go ahead, Vivek.
See, this Omicron is nothing to be very worried about. ठीक है, the spreading of this particular virus is very, very fast, but the symptoms are nothing to worry about as such. But you see, the basic problem is whether Biden comes in or Ben Johnson comes in or Modi comes in, they are not going to solve the problems. It's going to be us.
Yeah.
If I don't wear my mask, if I don't wash my hands, if I don't sanitize, who's going to tell us? Modi is not going to come and tell us do this or do that. So it's basically a wake-up call for the entire fraternity in the entire world that you can't shed the basic protocols which have been laid down for combating this particular, let's say, malaise.
Yeah, you know, you put it very well, Vivek, because I was just looking up a report that came in. Let me, in fact, quote from that report. I just picked it up from news agency PTI. And it says, and listen very carefully, it says 1 in 3 Indians continue to refrain from carrying masks when stepping out. Refrain from carrying masks, right? Mask compliance continues to remain at its lowest in India, despite concerns over detection of Omicron. I think Omicron is not very, I mean, of course it is important, but what's important is what he mentioned, Vivek, what Vivek mentioned. Manjari, Dr. Manjari, you want to take that? We seem to be, you know, dropping our guard once again, isn't it?
Yes, again, I would state that, you know, we have failed to realize that, in most of the cases, the symptoms may be mild, and a majority of people may just have itchiness in the throat and fatigue and feel, out of place and may not be able to go about their daily activities for a few days, and then they get back to normal. But we are forgetting we have a huge responsibility to the people who have comorbidities, who may very well be the very elderly in our family. Almost every Indian has either hypertension or diabetes. Many Indians are obese. Many Indians have interstitial lung disease. And thanks to pollution, we also have asthma and COPD. So many of us have families, elderly in families, who have comorbidities. And just for the fact that for a young person with a normal immunity and no comorbidities, the disease is mild, we cannot be insensitive to the fact that there are vulnerable people around us who love us and whom we love. Now, somehow, majority of the people think it's some kind of hero thing, or whatever you call it, that, we don't need to wear a mask. We can go around. And this COVID thing is not for us, They very well fail to realize that the virus is as living a thing as us. And just as we want to survive, the virus also wants to survive. It's a living organism. It is mutating. And you can imagine that, the receptor binding region in the virus.
Yeah.
For the Delta, there were 2 mutations. For the Beta, there are 3 mutations. And for Omicron, there are 10 to 15 mutations in that receptor binding region. So you can very well imagine how the virus is so smart that it's just changing itself to survive. But we are foolish. We don't want to wear a mask. We don't want to maintain safe distancing. We want to have closed door parties. We want to, break all the rules just because we are some kind of heroes, not realizing that we are going to sicken our very people whom we love, who may be our parents or our grandparents, or even children who have a low immunity. So this is something which speaks volumes about our population, that we as a whole are insensitive. Maybe very few people would, be good and be doing the stuff. But even in the hospital, I'm telling you, I see people who are resistant to wearing masks, who are spitting.
Yeah.
This very Indian thing of spitting everywhere. As to say, spit is some amrit we are pouring out of our mouths. They're just spitting everywhere even now. One would have thought in COVID they're going to hold back everything into, or dispose it off, sanitize in a sanitary manner.
Yeah.
But that's not happening. It hasn't happened. Nothing has changed. The behavior hasn't changed. Call for behavior change is very much important in this virus. Fight against this virus, which I consider a war. It's not just a pill which is going to take care of it.
Yeah, another viewer calling us in. Madhusudan dialing from Mumbai. Madhusudan, are you there? Good evening.
Hi, Niranjan. I'm
Hi.
all there.
Go ahead, Madhu.
Yeah, my question rather appreciation two fronts, Dr. Manjari as well as Dr. Pardiwala. Dr. Pardiwala raised a very valid point, and I think most countries in wave 2 took a very stringent call, the developed nations, that they should stop the entry of people from countries which are infected, which are having a high incidence. I think over the last 5-6 days, we're seeing that most South Africans or countries allied to the countries, almost all are from the same state. Isn't it time for our government also looking a bit inward? 130 crores versus, I think, entire South Africa as a percentage of India. Shouldn't we also take a call, at least for a week, to prohibit the passengers? One, I'm sure Indians are working there, but would it make sense for a few hundreds to come down and infect the a good part of crore? And the second point from Dr. Manjari, I completely agree that we are all a nation, we think we know everything, so masks are off, sanitizers are off. Even outside the stores, outside the malls, outside many installations, there are no more sanitizers. So just a request on behalf of the channel, and I miss Arnab today for sure. Could we, take this to our government? We need to be more stringent.
Absolutely. I'll let Dr. Rahil take that question. Dr. Rahil?
Yeah. So I think in one word, we all have to understand that COVID is back and we need to get our guards back. If we need to get rid, just be careful of the third wave coming in. And I might not fully agree with the caller calling from Mumbai because I feel travel ban is not the solution. We have had bans before as well, but people find ways to skip those things. There'll always be people who will find their ways to get into the country. So full 100% travel ban might not be the solution. But yes, we need to have restrictions. We need to have proper testing, especially if somebody is flying in from a hotspot area. Those need to be tested very rigorously. I think Karnataka government and Maharashtra government already have the rules in place that if somebody is coming from an African country or from a hotspot area, they have to be tested. And by default, even if the report is negative, they have to be in quarantine for 10 days and then they'll be in home quarantine for another 7 days. So I think that is a more effective way to control rather than having a complete blanket travel ban, because you see, we live in a global world and 100% ban on international travels might not be the right thing to do.
Yeah, okay. Before I get in the next caller, a lot of experts also asking for a review of India's vaccine strategy. In fact, we just pulled out a report a few minutes back of what India should be doing. Some of them suggesting that it's time for a booster shot, and we at Republic TV have also been talking about it. Review the vaccines and maybe fast track the second dose. There is a lot of road to cover there as far as the second dose is concerned, and roll out the booster shots. The government on the floor of the House has said that there is an expert committee looking into it. So where do you stand on that? Because I think the medical community, if the fraternity, has also been very vocal about the booster shots. Dr. Khattar, you want to take that?
Yeah. Now, please understand that we do have seen that when the vaccines were first initiated, then the sensitivity level was 95%, 97%, 92%. Gradually, when the Delta variant came up, then the same thing turned out to be 75, 77. Now, again, there are a lot of spike mutations. So we really don't know whether the same vaccine is actually going to work for this virus or not. So that is the first thing we need to keep in mind, whether we need to regenerate a newer vaccine with mutations turning in and taking that into the account, or the same vaccine is going to work. Two, as far as booster is concerned, see, the boosters are required to boost up the immunity. We have already taken one booster, right? We have taken 2 shots of vaccine, right? So the second one is already one booster. So what we are going for is a second booster. So please do understand that if the virus has made the desired changes and the vaccine also needs to have those changes, So probably a newer vaccine, if required over a period of time, maybe probably would help out more rather than taking a booster shot. So in case the same vaccine is working out good, then definitely yes, the booster shot is going to help. But in case this vaccine is not that effective for the current virus, so I don't think so a booster is going to make a lot of difference to the whole show.
Okay, let's take our final caller on this segment. Mr. Ray is calling us in. Mr. Ray, good evening. Where are you calling us from? And what's your question?
Yeah, good evening. I'm calling from Ujjain in MP, Madhya Pradesh.
Good evening. Go ahead.
And I wanted to ask the eminent panelists that every time we are getting a new variant, every 2-3 months we get a new variant. And then the same story starts that how the variant spreads and how whether the vaccine is effective on it or not. But tell me, is it possible that you can develop a vaccine which attacks or prevents some core part of the coronavirus which does not mutate? I mean, the spikes may mutate, but there may be a core part, some RNA or something which do not mutate. And if you can develop a vaccine to attack that core part, then it will be effective on all kind of variants. Now, do you think that it is a possibility that this can happen? Because otherwise we'll get a new variant after 3 months, and again we'll be discussing the same thing.
Okay, but Dr. Pardiwala, I saw you nod your head there. You want to take that question?
Yeah. No, one must understand one thing, that the virus is going to mutate. There is no way you can prevent the virus from mutating unless and until all of us have been either infected or have been vaccinated. Because when the virus spreads, it mutates. And the only way of preventing it spreading is if all of us are vaccinated or all of us have been exposed. You cannot have a generic saying that this vaccine is going to protect for everything. In general, up till now, all the mutations have been taken care of by the vaccine. Only this particular mutation perhaps may not be there. And it's early days yet. We still do not know. We are speculating. We do not know whether the vaccine will be effective for this or not. At the same time, I think that at least the people who are in the forefront of the fight, doctors, nurses, healthcare workers who go in, should take another shot. Remember, your influenza virus also mutates, and your influenza vaccine changes every year. It's not the same vaccine. Every year, you have to take an influenza vaccine. And I perhaps am of the opinion now that over a period of time, you will also get a COVID vaccine, which you may need to take every year or 2 years because of the mutations involved.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for taking those questions and answering, some of the questions that people had on their mind. At this point, I'd like to thank Dr. Rahil Chaudhary, Dr. Manjari Tripathi, Dr. Ashish Khattar, and Dr. Behram Pardiwala. Thank you so much. Let's see where the story goes. We have to keep our masks up and be on the guard. Thank you very much.